Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Musing, where in this season we are exploring the world of mental health. I am your host, Prachi Goyal, Urf Prachi Goyal Agarwal now. Today, I have the privilege of hosting Dr. Nirali Pandit, a passionate positive psychology practitioner, well being coach, and the founder of echoME, a platform dedicated to fostering happiness and flourishing. With over 15 years of experience as an academician, researcher, and now a coach, Dr. Nirali has dedicated her life to empowering individuals and organizations through strength based coaching, workshop on resilience, and groundbreaking research in human capital management. She is an avid researcher, has been an author and PhD guide, and advocate for mental wellness, making her a true force for positive change. Dr. Nirali, thank you for joining me today. Let's start where I and my listeners would like to know about your journey. Your career has spanned academia, research, and now coaching. It's an amazing evolution. Can you share the pivotal movement that led you to embrace positive psychology and found echoME?
Thanks, Prachi. Very kind of you to use such very exorbitant words for me. Thank you for this very nice introduction. This makes me go back to the year 2020's pandemic when the whole world was engulfed in fear, loss, and insecurity. While we were all working from home, what I did was I tapped into my strength of love of learning and decided to take up a course on positive psychology and strength-based coaching. This was in a way mystic also because I stumbled upon this course from nowhere. I have my qualifications in management. So, psychology is something that I was never so close to. The only aspect that I studied and taught was organizational behavior, where I studied organizational psychology and a little bit of individual behavior aspect in the subject of organizational behavior. Of course, we taught subjects like leadership and change management, where we definitely read a lot about human psychology and human behavior. So this course was like a blessing for me. And when I started practicing strengths coaching with my near circle, I had the fortune to witness their optimism and hopefulness in this grim period. And finally, in these gloomy times, there was someone, the feeling that they had was like, finally, in this gloomy time, there's someone who's shining the light on us. There's someone who is exploring what's right with us. And this gave me such a fulfilling experience that this is when I decided to take this work formally ahead, and I founded echoME. So echoME is an initiative for uh, fulfilling and empowering people through the medium of life coaching.
Perfect. So, echoME is solving what? Is there any specific thing what echoME is solving currently?
Um, so like I said, echoME is an initiative for empowering people. More than looking at people as broken and something to solve, I look at people as whole and resourceful. And from there, I take them towards flourishing and empowering them to make their own decisions to live their dream life. So here, I don't look at myself as a fixer. I look at myself as a supporter.
Okay, so what I understand, basically, you are supporting people to be happy and flourish their living style, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
So for me, happiness is sometimes achievable and sometimes not achievable also. So right now we are taking a perspective where happiness is achievable. But our brain is obviously outdated iPhone and we just try to find the glitches and under pressure we try to think कि, okay, happiness is not achievable. If you could design a happiness operating system for modern professionals, what would it be And how do you exactly solve the real problems like burnout, Monday blues, Monday dreads, I can say. So how you solve these problems?
Yeah. So, like I said, echoME is an initiative for empowering people. I I have very passionately thought about this name, and the acronym is ECHO, where E stands for empowering, C stands for contentment, H stands for happiness and harmony, and O stands for optimism. So it is that me who is completely empowered, contented, happy, and optimistic. And when I'm looking at, I'm not in the business of conversion, but I'm in the business of support. So when I'm supporting people to be more contented, more empowered, more happy, and more optimistic, um, uh, here is where this entire aspect of coming out of gloom, coming out of problems, real life problems like burnout and Monday dreads come into the picture. So you're talking about happiness operating system. I believe is this happiness operating system is already inbuilt within us. All that we need to do is we need to run it. And this operating system has majorly five features. Like say, if I before I come to the features, let me talk a little bit about burnout. Uh, what do you think is burnout?
For me, when I get a lot of pressure of work and I get burnout, ki, okay, I am not able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of pressure and people just like think, oh, okay, I'm not able to give it, I'm not able to do it and I just give up now.
Correct.
So, but when does it happen? Where is it sourced? So, burnout is generally experienced and sourced into a point where when your work is not aligned with your values, one doesn't have supporting and authentic relationships at work. And
Hmm.
there is this kind of lack of humor in workplaces with prolonged working hours. One feels lost in the system where there is hardly or no recognition or sense of achievement, and are nowhere in sight of the right people. So this is the time when you update your happiness operating system with these five major features. And these core features are number one, focusing on pleasure or positive emotions. Number two, living a good and engaged life. Number three, fostering healthy relationships. Number four, living a purposeful and a meaningful life. And last, number five is having a sense of or a feeling of accomplishment. So if you're able to tap into these five features, then I feel you're already running your own happiness operating system.
But how exactly you make the people use it? Because the problem is what you have suggested. These are the five features what you can provide, right? Uh,
Yeah.
but we often tend to do this way. Ki, okay, we have downloaded or we have thought about this five feature, but I am not able to implement it. So how exactly you help in those cases?
Yeah, so see, like I said, that this is an inbuilt system. We all have these five features already built within us. What we're doing is we are not tapping into them. So what I feel is that the yellow flags are, when one starts living the most unauthentic life, one starts feeling very fake, plastic, and futile about their daily life. So these are some kind of yellow flags for not tapping into these five features of the happiness operating system. And if these aspects, like feeling futile, feeling very plastic about your life, not being able to walk the talk, not being able to live life authentically, not being able to be yourself, if these yellow flags are prolonged, then there is a red flag to quit, which becomes very visible.
Okay, so this give me a sense like how this thing can be having the errors also that makes the people quiet, right? That they are not able to go ahead because of the red flags.
Yeah, you use the word quiet.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we recently had this buzzword quiet quitting, if
yeah,
you remember.
correct. Yes,
Yes. So this is exactly what it is. People step back, they don't participate. They say yes for things which they don't want to say yes for. They become detached with their work and their workplaces.
correct.
They tune out of meetings, they tune out of the expectations of the bosses. Yeah.
Correct. So ultimately, it's giving burnout is leading the person to be quiet and also underperform. Maybe he is performing much better previously, but because of the burnout and other things, he is now not even performing, and that's where this happiness over system can work for the person. So, we will go to the another segment now. I want to understand. There is always a myth, right? Happiness is skill or scam. You might have heard this thing lot of time over the LinkedIn also. People keep questioning happiness is skill or scam. Now, I want to know your perspective on this. Like, is happiness a skill we can learn, or just a scam sold to overload?
Wow. So I would never think happiness is a scam, right? It is nothing unless it is toxic positivity, which it's very easy to identify. Having said that, happiness is a skill. It can be learned. And I go back to this theory of the father of positive psychology, Martin Seligman, where he wrote the theory of learned optimism. And learned optimism also brings in the angle of learning how to be happy, developing the skill of being happy. So happiness is definitely a skill.
Okay, so you support that happiness is a skill, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how about work? Let's talk about workplace. Between back-to-back meetings and endless emails, is
Mm.
happiness at work possible? Happiness as a skill can be taken in workplace also, or it is just pretending work what employees are doing these days?
Mm. Yeah, amazing question. Thanks for bringing this up. Actually, workplaces where an average employee is identified to not be happy, it's kind of a signal to introspect for the members of the organization. I wouldn't pinpoint any one segment of employees, but I would just say members of the organization to kind of introspect and think what's going wrong instead of going right. And here, if there has to be happiness to be understood as a skill that can be learned or can be imbibed, then the whole idea for the organization is to bring in strength, to build strength-based workplaces or strength-based organization where employees get to use their signature strengths at workplaces. They bring in their best versions at work. It could include positive traits like being an energizer, being an optimist, activator, planner, maximizer, includer, ideation, consistency, perseverance, connectedness, teamwork, harmony, curiosity, perspective, forgiveness, kindness, gratitude. There are so many traits that people have. And when people bring in these best traits to their workplaces, they kind of become strong organizations. And that's where happy employees, happy organizations, like it is said, happy mothers, happy families. It's like happy employees, happy organizations. Let's say I'd give you an example over here. The
Mhm.
trick is to marry growth mindset with strength-based approach. If you're not able to be anything you want to be, but be a lot more of who you are, then probably you are imbibing the skill of being happy. It's very easy for any manager or any boss to have immense expectations from their employees. So it's very important for every member of the organization to understand and accept that it's not possible for a person to be everything under the sun, but it is quite possible for the person to be the best version of who he or she is. So be the best you can be in the areas of your strengths. Like, for example, if you are a content writer, quit trying to excel in operations because that's not what who you are. And you see, if you be more of who you are and you start investing and growing in those areas, you see how you get back to your meetings, you get back to your emails, you get back to feeling more engaged and involved and present in your work and your teams and your workplaces.
Very nice perspective, Dr. Nirali, because
Thank
this
you.
is actually it is taking me to upgrading side also, that how exactly you can upgrade yourself, you can work on yourself instead of just like pinpointing ki, okay, it is a like manager's mistake or somebody's. Because I have got one question also from the audience. When I've introduced the season, I have told that in this particular season I will be talking about world of mental health. That time I was getting a question from audience also, how do I explain to my boss that mental health isn't just yoga and smoothies, but it is actually important. So how you would address this one, because this question came from the audience.
So there are three things that you can do to explain to your boss that mental health is not about yoga and smoothies. And these three things, one is communicate, two is communicate, three is communicate,
Okay. So ultimately communication is what is the
is
thing
the key.
through which you can actually solve this issue.
Yes, absolutely.
Really like this perspective. Yeah, even I think so. When the communication is very clear and you have upgraded yourself, that what exactly your manager is expecting, you are able to give that result to him. I believe those pressure which you are taking can be avoided without any questions, right?
Yeah, actually.
Right. So, Dr. Nirali, now I want to know, like, what's the most surprising finding about workplace happiness that would shock most of the professionals?
I think the most surprising finding is being able to live your value
Okay.
and respect the fact that if people are allowed to live their values, they'll be able to find their happiness in that particular point of time. You know, whatever you do, if it is aligned with your values, then you are happy. And not to forget that you're not just driven by one value, you're driven by multiple values in your life. But at one particular point of time, there is some one value that becomes very important for you to serve or to display or to live. So which value emerges at a point of time is not in your hand. It is everything is so situational and everything is like so timely, you know, it has to be served depending upon what situation arises. So let's say if relationships are very important for me, and if I see a person not being treated well, you know, generally in organization, then probably there is a clash of value that I experienced with other people, and it doesn't make me happy. Rather, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. So, the most surprising finding about workplace happiness could be allow people to live their values and maximize their values, you know, help them to maximize their values. If the organization supports this aspect of human life, then probably that's the key to happiness.
Where I want to understand how the values can be aligned between organization and the employee, because there will be obviously value clash, right?
Yeah.
Employee will be having his own values, and in organization, or maybe to the managers, if I say, managers will be having their own value of work. How exactly this two can be married, that the value clash doesn't happen?
Brilliant question, Prachi. Half of it could be organic, and the remaining half could be effort.
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
you're not having a classic case of value of clash of values. You're not experiencing a classic case of clash of values, but you are experiencing two things. One is organically you're able to live your values because they match your organizational values. It's an ideal environment to flourish. But there would be some values which kind of mismatch with the organizational values, which is fine. Like I could be a humanitarian. My organization could be an achiever. So where I stomp on kindness, my organization stomps on wisdom. But there's no harm for humanity and wisdom to marry each other. But definitely, if there is a case where that wisdom is taking a bent of shrewd actions, serving personal benefits, not aligning with your own kindness or your own humanitarian approach, where it's okay if they are not serving others before self, but on the contrary, they are eating into others to serve self or becoming overtly self-serving, then I guess it's okay to walk out.
Right. So this perspective, one should understand that where they can actually bring two people together to match their values, or otherwise take a call to step out.
There's no harm in it.
In this case itself, can I ask you, like, what's your emergency reset button for when you are about to lose in the meeting?
Take a pause,
Okay.
step back, read the room.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so you have given me a very straightforward answer for it, and that's why I now want to move to rapid fire round, where we will be having a straightforward answer itself. Where in this rapid fire, I will be not doing this rapid fire as usual, which I do in my podcast, but now I will be asking you one sentence question maybe, and out of that, I would be expecting answer from you in one word. Will that work?
Okay. So let me gear up for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I'm
perfect.
prepared. Shoot.
Okay, so
Yeah.
perfect. So let's start. I will be throwing first question first. So most overrated self-care trend for you.
Unleashed self-kindness.
Okay. Okay, so most underrated mental health tool.
I think digital detox.
Even I think so. It's most
Yeah.
underrated. Which
Yeah.
okay, best workplace happiness bang for your buck.
Enabling coaching services, following that mantra, which many organizations in the West have started adopting, one employee, one coach.
One employee, one coach. Okay. Coffee or tea for productivity.
Coffee.
Coffee. Okay. One emoji that describes your ideal workday.
Happy blush face that expresses extreme happiness and positive feelings.
Very true. Okay.
Thank you.
Complete the sentence. You know you need to prioritize your mental health when.
When, could you say the sentence again?
You know you need to prioritize your mental health when.
When I see a yellow flag in my life, in my daily functioning.
This is very important for the listeners also, because sometimes we ignore after being knowing ki, okay, this is a yellow flag. We try to actually ignore that piece and just go ahead with the same issues what we are having. So this is very important for the listeners also, that if you are seeing any yellow flags, please try to prioritize your mental health.
Yeah, actually in your daily functioning, that's the key word. What we do is ठीक है ना, होता है, चलता है, कल देख लेंगे. Maybe today is a rough day, and you want to wade through.
True, very true.
Yeah.
Okay, so this leads to me another question, like your 30-second mental health elevator pitch to convince someone that this matters.
Mm, thoughts become things. Keep your thoughts positive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's like a podcast title for me, and it is very true that this
I love you to have that title sometime.
perfect. So here we come to the end of this podcast. So much, Dr. Nirali, for sharing the enlightening conversation with us, where like especially the 5 features what you have mentioned, experiencing pleasure and positive emotion, living a good and engaged life, fostering healthy relationships, living a purposeful and meaningful life, and having sense of feeling of accomplishment. So these 5 features, I am sure my listeners also gonna implement in their life, and it's gonna help them to really prioritize and understand how exactly they can work on this happiness OS. Any final word and final thoughts from your side?
So if they keep wondering, how do you actually implement these 5 features into life? How to tap into them? Then I'm always there for them. They can connect with me.
And so how exactly people reach out to you?
They can go to my website, www.echome.co.in. They can find me on LinkedIn as Nirali Pandit. I am also there as echoME on Facebook and on Instagram.
Okay.
And there are all ways where they can reach my WhatsApp number through these social media platforms.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nirali, for showing up in this podcast. And thank you for enlightening with all the conversation which we had today. I am sure that in this podcast, we have not covered everything. We would require another episode with you to talk more about this particular issue. And
Anytime.
I will be happy to invite you maybe in this season or by in the next season where we can talk more on this issue. If today's conversation moved you listeners, follow us for more raw, real talks on mental health. Remember, asking one question could rewrite someone's story. So please ask the question to your colleagues or friends and know whether they are okay or not. Thank you for tuning in.